If you've ever found yourself giving too much, waiting too long, or hoping too hard for someone to love you back, this video will change how you relate to love forever. Because by the end, you'll understand why the more you chase love, the more it slips away. And more importantly, why the moment you stop chasing it, everything begins to shift. Right now, there's a part of you that believes love is something you need to earn. You shape yourself to be chosen. You dim your needs to be accepted. You overextend just to feel seen. And still, love feels out of reach. And maybe you've asked yourself, quietly, heartbreakingly, what's wrong with me? Why do I always want the one who doesn't want me back? Why do I feel emptier in relationships that should feel full? Because you were taught that love is a reward for who you become, not something you're worthy of as you are. Pause here. Reflect for a moment. Think back to the last time you were in love, or thought you were. What parts of yourself did you silence to keep them close? What needs did you bury to avoid being too much? You see, you weren't just trying to be loved. You were trying not to be abandoned. But if you don't learn to break this pattern, if you keep chasing love like it's the missing piece of your identity, you'll spend your life building relationships that drain you, confuse you, and eventually break you. But stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand where this pattern really comes from, and you'll have the power to change it. Love is supposed to be natural, easy, flowing. But for most of us, it's not. It's a battlefield, a place of anxiety, confusion, and endless longing. And that's not an accident. That's a psychological inheritance. You check your phone 17 times in 5 minutes. You replay conversations in your head. You analyze texts like they're sacred scripts. And it's exhausting. This isn't romance. This is survival. From the moment you were born, love wasn't just affection. It was your lifeline. If your parents smiled, you were safe. If they ignored you, punished you, grew cold, you felt like you might disappear. So you adapted. You learned which parts of yourself brought closeness and which parts brought distance. But you didn't stop needing. You just stopped showing it. You became agreeable, pleasing, careful. You dimmed your sadness. You hid your anger. You dulled your needs. And in that moment, a fracture was born. The real you went underground, and in its place a performer emerged. One that could win love, or at least avoid rejection. Jung called this mask the persona, a socially acceptable version of yourself, curated to survive. It helps you fit in. But when you start believing that this mask is you, the cost is staggering. Because if you've always had to perform to be loved, how will you ever feel truly known? And if you don't feel known, can you ever truly feel loved? Now imagine what happens when you carry this unspoken belief into adulthood. If I show who I really am, they'll leave. So you keep hiding and keep chasing. But there's something older and more hidden that's been driving all this. Something you've been carrying for years, maybe without knowing. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The partners you choose, the patterns you repeat, the heartbreak you suffer, none of it is random. It's your unconscious trying to get your attention. When we don't heal our inner wounds, we project them outward. We chase people who remind us of the love we couldn't get. Maybe it's the emotionally distant father, the overly critical mother, the first person who made us feel invisible. And because that dynamic is familiar, we confuse it with love. But what we're really chasing is resolution, a second chance to get it right. We try to rewrite the past through the present. This is your shadow at work. All the parts of you that were denied or rejected, your neediness, your insecurity, your longing, get projected onto the person you want. You believe they can fill the void. You believe they will make you whole. You hand them the script of your healing and hope they'll play the part. But they can't, Because they're not your savior, they're your mirror. And mirrors don't heal you. They show you where you need to do the work yourself. This is why love becomes obsessive. Why ghosting feels like abandonment. Why rejection feels like death. You're not mourning them. You're mourning the version of yourself you hoped they would help you become. This is your shadow, the collection of everything you were told not to be. Too emotional, too intense, too needy, too quiet, too weird. And now, you don't just fear showing those parts. You hand the task of loving them over to someone else, hoping they'll prove they're acceptable. But no one can love your shadow for you. They can only reflect it back. Think back again. Have you ever fallen for someone who made you feel electrified, but also insecure? Have you confused intensity for intimacy, longing for love? That's not chemistry, that's projection. And yet, even in this pain, there's a strange kind of wisdom, because your patterns point to something important, what you truly believe about yourself. And that belief can be rewritten. Modern love tells us there's someone out there who will complete us, the missing half, the perfect match, the soulmate. But Jung would caution us. We are not missing halves. We are unrealized wholes. When we fall in love, we're not just falling for another person. We're falling in love with how we feel when we're around them. The way they light up parts of us we thought were gone. The confidence, the attention, the joy, the rush. But what we forget to see is that all of it, every spark, comes from within us. They didn't create those feelings. They awakened them. And if those feelings live within you, what does that mean? It means you don't need another person to feel whole. You're not lacking. You're not broken. You're home to the very thing you've been seeking. That's the shift. That's the moment the chasing starts to dissolve. Because once you realize you already contain what you were trying to silently extract from someone else, the desperation starts to fade. You become curious, calm, capable. And once that inner foundation begins to rebuild, something else quietly emerges. A clarity about who you are without the mask. At first, letting go of the chase feels like silence. You might feel the absence of the highs and lows, the romantic rush, the addictive pull. You might feel bored, lonely, empty. But that emptiness is space. The same space you used to fill with fantasy, with hope, with projections. And now, for the first time, that space belongs to you. You begin to notice what you like, what you need, what actually nourishes you. You begin to see your past with new eyes, not with judgment, but with tenderness. You see the version of you who begged, who pleaded, who hurt, and you finally say to them, you didn't do anything wrong. You stop asking, why didn't they choose me? And you start asking, why did I keep choosing them? This is the beginning of what Jung called individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole again, of integrating your light and your shadow, of no longer rejecting your needs, but honoring them. Not seeing your sensitivity as weakness, but as wisdom. And here's what no one tells you. The more you do this work, the more love changes. When you stop chasing, your standards rise, your boundaries strengthen, your inner world becomes so full that you no longer panic when someone pulls away. You no longer abandon yourself to keep someone else close. The kind of love you start to attract, or choose, feels different. It's not loud, chaotic, or filled with doubt. It's quiet, steady, clear, safe. You're not looking for someone to save you. You're looking for someone to meet you, fully, authentically. And if they don't, you let them go. Not because you're cold, but because you're whole. Sometimes, that kind of love comes from another person. But often, it begins with you. You begin to care for yourself in a way that no one ever taught you. You stop abandoning yourself for love and start loving yourself like you always wished someone would. Not perfectly, but consistently. And it's in that inner consistency that you find peace. Carl Jung never said love was easy. But he did say that what we most need will be found where we least want to look, and that is within. Because love isn't something you find, it's something you remember. And the moment you stop chasing it, the moment you stop bending, breaking, and bargaining for it, is the moment you come back to the one person who never stopped waiting for you, yourself. And from there, everything changes.